Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Relationship Mastery Series. We're focusing on principles to a passionate life and relationships and dynamite families. I'm Alan Darbonne, and I'll be your host. I've gathered 25 wonderful experts from actually all over the world, and they're going to share their experience and their good tips for you in terms of relationships and how to find them, maintain them, and also how that impacts the families. And today, while it's not a different country, we're definitely going bi-coastal. I have today someone who works out of Boston, and I'm over here in Laguna Beach, California. This person today that I'm excited about is Gregg Michaelsen. And I want to say a little bit about Gregg. He is one of Boston's top dating and life coaches. He's the author to date a man, you must understand a man. Now, I have to agree with that. And I appreciate his contribution around that. This is a #1 best-selling book on Amazon, and he has multiple #1 books. He's written a lot of wonderful little gems that have a great useful information in them. He focuses on different phases in a relationship also. He wrote How to Find a Guy, How to Keep a Guy, How to Get My Ex Back, and How to Change My Life. So you can get these and find out more information on Gregg's site, which is www.who hold the cards now. Who holds the cards now? That's very interesting. So Gregg, welcome very much to the show.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, Doctor. It's a special occasion for sure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's always fun talking to you. We have a lot of laughs, so that's great.
Yeah.
One thing I want to let the audience know, stay tuned to the very end, because at the end, Gregg has a wonderful gift that he's going to be offering, a free gift. And so you'll want to hear about that. And also at that point, I'll give you exactly how to use the link to get over, to be able to get that free gift. So again, Gregg, welcome. And I want to jump right in because I know we've got a lot of territory to cover here. So one thing that's intrigued me is a statement that you make, which is build yourself and he will come. And there's a lot in there. So please kind of begin by telling us a bit about that.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again for having me here. That sits on the header of my website, Build Yourself and He Will Come. On my woman's website, I've got both, I deal with men and women in relationships. But Build Yourself and He Will Come. Women come through my books. I encourage them. I sell hundreds of books per day, and I encourage them. My virtual assistant, questions this, but I encourage them to talk to me so I know about their personal situation and their relationship, what's going on. So I'm very in tune with what's going on in their lives, as well as men also. But on the women's side, the women will contact me and they'll be having problems, and I'll always bring them back. I guess it's a life coach in me, and I'll want to know their story, and I want to know what's going on in their lives. And it's funny, so many women, society takes you, sends you to college, you're supposed to get married quick, and so many women never have a chance to build, what I say is build a great story. And because they before you know it, they've got kids, they're in a relationship, they're taking care of everything but themselves.
So they haven't built their story.
And as a therapist, doctor, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's I'll get women that are 35 and men 35 years old, get recently divorced, and they'll be ready to go right back into a relationship, and I'll say, no, wait a minute, let's settle down and, find your identity again. And they're surprised when I say that, because they say, well, wait a minute, you're a dating coach and I want to get back in a relationship. And I'm like, I always say, so let's get back to that story. When you have a great story to tell, that means you get back to what you always wanted to do that maybe, you kind of fell off the track finding, like photography classes or surfing or whatever. And I say, let's get back to those hobbies and passions that you used to love that, you're not able to do anymore. And you'll enjoy doing it. And you just, brainstorm, I always say brainstorm 25, pick 10, narrow it down to 5 and go for 2. And that's when you're going to, now you start to build your confidence. Your story gets to be told. You build your confidence. You start to form opinions. You start to challenge other people. You're along the way, you meet guys or women, also. So that's that story I'd like to talk about. Just so many people put I always say the horse, the cart before the horse. I always think you've got to, the man or the woman, the relationship is the cherry on top. And when you have a great story to tell, people find you very interesting, and you start to attract. And so that's the life coach in me that sends me off, just trying to get women and men to just get back to their roots and understand themselves again before they go out there. So.
Yeah, that's a wonderful perspective. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I've worked with, and women are actually subject to this a bit more than men, in my experience.
I agree.
The women will actually, even when I ask the question about what are the things you used to love to do, and there still is some initial resistance about them. They may say, oh God, I used to lose myself in painting, or I used to lose myself just hanging out with my girlfriends or whatever. And then at the suggestion that they resume that, you get some resistance. It's like, oh no, there's layers of why they've told themselves and convinced.
Yeah, it's that evil voice saying, I'm not worthy. I'm born to help others. And it's just like, I understand, but it's just like, you've got to let go. And at some point, put yourself first, and not always number 2, number 3 behind the kids, the ex-husband or what have you. But I find even in a relationship, sometimes women and men won't take care of themselves. And I think that gets lost a little bit. And I think you still need to take care of yourself a little bit. It just helps them a lot. Right? That's a lot, right? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's a tragic error.
Yes.
And people fall into that very well-meaning, kind of thinking, oh, well, I don't want to be self-centered. I want to really care about my partner.
Yeah.
But the reality is you start getting more and more dull, more and more dull. You start to be the mirror for your partner, and the partner says, oh, God, I'm tired of looking at this mirror. Let me go out and see if I can't see something different.
Yeah.
And
it comes down,
particularly for men, but believe me, for women also, novelty lights up the brain.
It
And
does.
if you're not bringing your new.
Yeah. And I agree, it's just like, challenge and mystery, you talk about these things and people will say, oh, Greg, I don't want to play a game. And I'm like, it's not a game, challenge and mystery, to bring challenge and mystery after 10, 20 years in a relationship is a good thing. It's a good thing. And I always say you keep that social life outside of his, and the guy keeps the social life outside of hers. You have trust, so it's okay. And you're allowed to go away. I'm not talking Las Vegas for 2 weeks, but you're allowed to go away on your little weekends. You have that trust, you have that connection, and things stay exciting. It's just like, what is she up to? Or what I hope he's having fun. And then you get excited to come back home. And I think with the reality today, and we are just so go, especially in our country, there's just no time for yourself in there at all, and I just really think you've got to find that time. It's got to be a job to have date night together, to go away separate, and keep your hobbies and passions. Never make the other one your hobby, and that keeps you excited. Meeting other people keeps you just interesting and happy. It just comes down to that.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think these are principles that any solid relationship coach knows and agree with.
Yeah, right.
If you get in, because the reality in terms of, oh, I don't want to play a game, listen, if you're not having a lot of enjoyment most of the time in your relationship, you are playing a game, but you're in the wrong game. And
I agree. Yep.
Just find out what game you're playing it, and if it's not a fun one, go to another table.
Get another table. Exactly. Right. So I want to get into another interesting concept that I know people will be very interested in, and I'll jump to the ladies' side a little bit. In my book, To Date a Man, You Must Understand a Man, I've got chapter 2. It's called The Conveyor Belt to Manhood, and you'll like this. I list the 10 or 12 main ingredients that go into men, and it's yeah, and I always ahead of time I say, okay, I'm not always proud of my gender, but please bear with it. And it's rather funny, but in all seriousness, it's I treat a man like a Keebler chocolate chip cookie, if you will, and the different ingredients that go into us that are some is in our DNA, how we think and things like that. But these are more principles that as we grow up, this is what we were taught to do.
Yeah.
And there are 10 or 12 things. And when women understand these things, they start to say, wow, okay, now I understand why he ran to his man cave. Now I understand the way he reacted, the way he did. Let me do it different. And so, and I'm going to go through this list. It'll be fun, and a couple of quick examples.
Okay.
But you can actually pick from this list, and it's amazing how the communication starts to come together when women follow these principles. So let me just run down my list. I got them right here.
Wonderful.
You're brought up, and you please chime in. Because I know you'll smile. But
believe me, for the men that are watching this, and I know you know this.
Yes.
Is it not just women reading these books?
Yes.
Men are trying to find out about themselves, and so the information you're putting out is very valuable. And listen, I'm a guy's guy, and I do all of that stuff. But on the other hand, thank God I'm educatable. And
yes. But it's easier to go to the women because I think we're less complex, and it just it's funny. But some of the things that go into us when we grow up, I mean, men, we know this. Is winning. We're taught to win. Winning in competition. We win. We compete. We don't cry. We're taught to hide our emotions. We're just not. That's not a normal thing with us. Money and status, as guys know, is very important to us. And a lot of women will look at that like, I got money. What's the problem? And I'm saying the problem is you're going to emasculate a man. We're built to provide. I've done some videos with Helen Fisher, and she is the, all about her. But money and status is another trait that you can look at there. Appreciation. We love appreciation. A man needs appreciation. And we're taught to sleep with again, I'm not proud of this, but we're taught. At least when I was growing up, to sleep with as many women as I could, or at least lie about it to my friends, because that was status. It's like, wow, you kissed marry on the playground or whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. So I'll have women pick from this list and then start to understand what's going on. And, here's a perfect example real quick is, appreciation. Guys just love, we love appreciation.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Can't get enough.
Yeah, right. And I'll be, I'm married, out in the burbs, and my wife will say, Greg, cut the lawn, okay, I need the lawn cut. We're going to, the kids are having a sleepover, a tent party, in the backyard next week. So I get out there and I cut the front lawn. And I stop for whatever reason. I'm a guy. I'm lazy. I want a beer or something. I don't know. But and a typical response will be, this is how communication will go. A typical response will be, Greg, you never finish anything. You didn't fix the car. You didn't finish the paint in the room. We're having a sleepover. Will you get back out there and get the lawn cut? So right now, I'm just not feeling good about myself. I first of all, I lost, pick it from my list. I did not win. I got insulted by my wife or, put down. I didn't get my appreciation, and I have no motivation to go cut the lawn. I really don't, And then I always tell, well, let's picture the situation go in a different way. And we can grab a man side of things also here.
Mm-hmm.
But now my wife comes out and says, okay, I've stopped, and says, Greg, the front lawn looks great. You didn't kill my petunias. Can you, I'll meet you in the backyard and I'll make some lemonade, meet you back out there. And it's like, now I won. I got appreciation. All right. I'm excited. I'm like, wow, and so I cut the back lawn, I cut the side lawn. Hell, I'll cut the neighbor's lawn. I just, and the women will look at me like, Greg, you cannot be, it can't be that simple. And I'll say, yes. I say, yes. And I'm not talking just about that example, but when a man gets hit with appreciation 3 or 4 times a day, 6 or 7 days a week, it's like, whoa, all of a sudden I want to do more things for her. I'm happy, and then I'll jump on the other side, because can't leave the men out here. I'll jump to the other side and I'll say, guys, listen, you want to fix things. We get that. We want to fix things. But when your wife comes home and she had a terrible day and, her wife, her boss, hit on her or said something, she didn't do her work well, do not try to fix the problem, because a guy will say, and I've done it myself. A guy will say, well, honey, we got plenty of money. Why don't you just, look for another job? Doctor, you know how that goes over.
Oh, yeah. I've done it myself. I know exactly what you're talking about.
She rips you one. And the guy's like, well, what did I do wrong? I just, I'm trying to help you. And then, then he just shuts up and goes to his man cave. And so it's that type of thing, and I'll tell men, I say, guys, I know you want to fix it, but don't. She wants you to listen. That's her side of things, that she, wants you to listen. If you let her, ask questions, sure. Don't give solutions and just listen. And, it comes down, I got another book called Power to Communicate, but it really comes down to, how to win friends and influence people is a lot of these tactics.
Yeah. But
I've had, entire relationships break down because they didn't understand the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing, that if these little things, if this woman knew that appreciation is high on the list, and when he doesn't win, let him go to his man cave, let him work on his Mustang. Don't go to him. Don't blame yourself, because a lot of women, nurturing, and I don't blame them, will say, he doesn't want to talk about it because he doesn't love me. I'm not doing something good enough. What did I do? And that's not the case. Should be much better off letting us, just get over it. Think about how we're going to fix this problem. We didn't get that raise that day or what have you. And then it'll be amazing that we'll be ready to talk about it might be the next day, might be 2 days, but we'll be ready to talk about it. And when women have these like, oh, you know, these oh my God moments, like, Greg, this stuff really works. You know, it's just like, I don't know. I get all excited about it, but it's just, you know, it's just amazing how these little things, and then, you know, you know, we got, I don't know how much time we have, but here's a good one that you'll love is, you know, we love in different ways.
Very important. Yeah.
Yes. And I get, I don't know if your readers know this, but, you know, I get 50, I'm like a Dear Abby with men and women. I get 50 to 100 sometimes on Sunday emails per day. Somehow I get to them all, but just asking questions. And women will say, you know, my man never tells me he loves me. And this is a big thing. And relationships have ended because of this. Mm. And I'm like, well, here we go again. You know, we have to look at our little chart here, I call this man mode. It's basically, it's basically understanding a man and then communicating in a way that he understands so a woman can get what she wants. But it's not manipulation, because the guy wins also. It's a win-win situation.
Right.
So, you know, it's just, you know, fascinating stuff. But I love you, you know, I'll tell women, it's like, guys don't naturally say, I love you. Women do, you know, and I find that, you know, we'll say I love you because we'll get in trouble if we don't. But I always tell women, like, guys love in different ways. You know, we're chivalrous, where we protect you. We you know, when you sit down, we pull the stool out. We fix things. We bring in the groceries. We take out the trash. And now I know that's not romantic like flowers and candy, but but I always tell a woman, I ask.
I don't know. I don't know anything that'll turn a woman on quicker than to see her husband with the vacuum cleaner in the living room.
That's a very good point, right? But women will have these aha moments. It's like, well, I never thought about that. I mean, taking the trash out, fixing my car, staying home, you know, or giving me a ride, you know. I'm saying, well, I know it's boring, but if these things happen and you appreciate him and you allow it to happen, you know what? He's going to start to say, I love you. Mm-hmm. But you just have to know that is not natural. And of course, I'm generalizing here, mm-hmm. but it's just not normally natural for it to roll off the tongue, other than we better say it or I'm screwed.
Yeah. And it's interesting because with this whole thing, like you were saying, you know, that sure, these are generalizations, very useful generalizations, by the way. At the same time, there are different aspects to it, and one aspect is sometimes timing. If the woman understands this, or the man understands this about his woman, whatever that might be, there's timing. When something comes up is not the time to then go into educating, but at the same time, at the right moment, with tenderness and kindness, you can say, you know, when you do such and such, it really makes me feel good. It makes me happy. Now, a guy's brain is going to light up all over the place when you say that.
But, you know, you're exactly right. The timing, you know, most people don't know how to argue. And I'll always tell guys and ladies, say the time to work out the issue is the exact time you don't want to, and that's when you're getting along. You know, when you're drinking wine under an apple tree, having a great time, smiling, enjoying each other, you know, is the time to say, and no one wants to do it because they're so used to the argument that's going to come. But I say the argument won't come if you look at it like a win-win. Let's say the man is spending too much time at work, in the woman's opinion, and she could say, you know, John, you know, what can I do? You know, I know you're very busy at work. You've got that big project. What can I do to help you with your project? You know, maybe I can, and really think this through. Maybe I could do X, X, and X, and that would allow us to spend more time together, because I would really like to spend more time together. So now you're not in an argument. You just presented it in a win-win way. It's like you're thinking of his needs, and we could reverse this.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
thinking of his needs and saying, okay, yeah, maybe she can help me that. And that's the time. And like you say, timing is so important. When it comes to a relationship, when do you discuss the things that need to get discussed? I mean, we all know about communication, but the timing is huge,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, very huge. And that's, I mean, even if, as a guy, even if I end up saying, no, there's nothing you can do, I have heard that you care, and you didn't come at me with, oh, you're spending too much time at work, you're not spending enough time with me. I mean, but on the
Exactly.
other hand, I hear, sweetheart, I've been missing you lately. And I know that you really have to put your time into this. And if there's any way I can support you, or something along those lines, I mean,
Beautiful.
it is a totally different outcome.
But it's so hard to, and I know with my clients, and you can tell me yours, but it's so hard to, I mean, it sounds very obvious, and yet, have you tried it? And I'll say, okay, give me an example when you tried that with John. And they'll like, well, and I'll say, just try it. Just try it. The words you just spoke are beautiful. And they actually, but sometimes there's so much contempt built up by that stage that, the woman or the man doesn't even know how to start that conversation, and then, that's a more difficult, thing to deal with from there.
Yeah, it's like you're talking about the importance of story and having a story. And
Yeah.
on the other hand, we build up these stories based on these little hurts, and you get down the line to about chapter 11, and it's like, I want a divorce.
Yeah. Right.
When a different story would be very much written
Yeah.
if there was that attention to, of course, I have needs, and those are important. She has needs, and those are just as important. Let's find a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, your words are calming me. I mean, I just love how you talk. And that's an interesting thing you say. I've got another bestseller called Pennies in the Jar.
I love your titles.
How to keep a man for life. And but when I talk about pennies in the jar is representative of good memories. And I always say, it's funny, doctor, because I love to run up to the 80-year-old couples that are holding hands in the park. I mean, I usually get maced, but after the macing, I talk to them because I want to know. I say, how did you do it? You're in love. You beat the odds. Tell me. And it's just wonderful to hear them. It's just so wonderful to hear them. And it caused me to write that book. It's just the memories that they brought. They have compiled, and I always talk about shiny pennies and rusty pennies. You can have, bad memories, the rusty pennies, which aren't good, but the more and more good pennies you can put into the jar, the more memories you have. Now you dream about that person. Even when you get separated, or even if you got divorced or something, you're still thinking about him, her. And I talk about these couples, they didn't have a 50-year run of bliss. No way. They had affairs, they had everything. But the pennies in the jar, the memories that they gathered together, no one could take them away. It got to a point where it just solidified them for life. Mm-hmm. And it's an amazingly simple concept, but when you concentrate on those memories, and you don't just stay home watching movies, and that's a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong, but you bike riding, you hike a mountain together, you kayak together, you do a small business together. The more things you start to pile up, you become inseparable. And another thing they'll say is the woman will often say, it's like, Harry, let me tell you, I never really liked Harry. But he was persistent. And brings me to another point, and you mentioned timing. I'll have guys and women just looking and looking and looking. And I always say, you know, are there people around you that you might have overlooked? Because that couple in the park will say, you know, I never thought of Harry as the one. He was just there for me. You know, I went through relationships he went through, but he was always there for me.
Mhm.
And one day he asked me out, we went, and then it was just from there, it just happened. And I always say, be careful. Someone might be right around you if you're single that might be the one, you know, and you're not giving them the time of day because they don't fit your model, you know, what you think you have to have, which is another thing is, you know, expand. You know, date a biker girl or biker boy, you know what I mean? Or just try someone that isn't necessarily, you know, in your, you know, what you think is the proper person, you know, to date, you know, and it's amazing. Of guys or, you know, women say only date guys that are, you know, 6 feet tall. And I'm like, okay, so if he was 5'11" and a half, you'd just walk away from him. You know, he could be your, you know, or, you know, 5'11" Jewish guys. I'm like, you know, that's, you know what I mean? Just, you know, just try it, you know, just see what happened, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. That's, and in that trial period, kind of pay attention to where your reactions are coming from. If you start to write somebody off right away, whether it's a man or a woman, and before you completely close the door, you may want to look at yourself and say, well, where's that coming from? You know, does that really fit? And is that something that's my message or a message I picked up somewhere, or does it set off alarm bells?
Yeah.
And the reality is, if I let myself see beyond that, I can recognize, you know, that's livable.
Yeah.
There are these other qualities, or wow, I need that to live, and
Yeah.
that's a very important thing. Again, how you shape your own perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, there are compromises in every relationship, but obviously, you know, okay, if he or she doesn't want to have kids and I do, you move on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't try to convince him or her. But the little things, you know, maybe he's a little bit of a slob or she is or what have you. It's like, okay, you know, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. And maybe we can kind of get to a point, but you're right. You know, you really need to, you know, it's funny. I always talk about wet kittens. On the woman's side, I'll say wet kittens and lions. You want to date, you know, the wet kittens are the ones that, you know, don't have a job and, you know, or, you know, maybe still living at home and, you know, when they're 55 and, which is okay.
It's not their home.
Addicted and what have you. And the same thing on the other side. And I always say, no, you want to date someone who's healthy. You know, so many people will get together because they're both addicted to something. And it could be watching TV, too much TV or something. It doesn't have to be, you know, drugs and alcohol. And I always say, you know, that's why I always talk about have a great story, you know, get yourself, you know, be as healthy as you can. And then you naturally weed out the losers, you know, the wrong men to date, the wrong women to date. You don't attract them. And if you do, you say politely, you know, no to them. So if you get yourself healthy and which to me is happy, you know, now you just, you know, it's just, the world is yours, you know.
Yeah, that's so important. And that's really goes to the core of the matter over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it is about loving yourself and knowing yourself, you know, be interested in yourself enough to know yourself and what you need and where your vulnerabilities are. And then you can carry that over with any relationship. And that makes all the difference in the world.
I agree.
Yeah. And Gregg, it's been wonderful talking with you. The time is flying by, and I knew we would need to stop by the clock rather than naturally.
I have to tell your audience. I told the doctor, I said, Doc, you have to shut me up because I'm going to just go on forever.
Okay, so I'm going to shut you up for now, and but not completely, because before I do, I want you to tell our audience about your free gift.
Yes. So I mentioned man mode. And so what this is it's a little infographic that I developed, and it's fun. It's fun. It'll have the list of things on it that I talked about, that men's ingredients, and it's going to have all little different scenarios of what you might normally do and what you should do, and the reason why. And it's exciting. I think you'll like it. So it's a infographic called Man Mode. Yes.
Oh, awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great gift. I look forward to seeing that myself. It sounds fun, and it sounds like a very useful tool. That cheat sheet is something probably be good to carry in your wallet.
Put it on your wall. Put it on your wallet. Yeah, you're right. I should have a little tiny size cheat sheet.
Right.
For men too, right? Yeah.
And so, folks, I'd like you to know too, right after the interview stops, you'll see a link, and that link will actually get you Gregg's wonderful gift. And again, thank you so much, Gregg. And thank you, audience, for being with us. We love sharing with you. And in closing, I just want to remind each of you that the planet really needs your particular love and your particular light to heal and to be whole. So please just be kind and speak your truth. That's all we need. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.